Welcome back to the program, everyone. This is the Morning Brief. We are live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. Our focus this hour is the demolitions in Makoko and the possible implications for dwellers, for the government, and guess what? For journalists who also get to cover these stories and get to risk our lives. Just to tell you and bring you up to speed what exactly is happening. Now, we're joined this hour by Bukola, she's a correspondent, Thomson Reuters Foundation, who joins us live on the program. Thank you indeed for joining us on the program. Bukola Adebayo. Bukola. Yeah, nice. All right, so you have been following this story. For starters, I wasn't on the field yesterday, but I could tell from the videos I saw from a colleague from who shared that video on his Instagram page. I could see the tear gas, and I would just putting myself in that situation, in his shoes, because we have inhaled tear gas, we've inhaled pepper spray, we've been sort of bitten on this job as well. What exactly have you been seeing as regards these demolitions?
Well, I have been following and covering demolitions in Lagos specifically, starting from 2016 when Otodogbame was demolished. And people were forced out, and how that led to thousands of families being displaced, separated, families, father is hanging out somewhere, mother is hanging out somewhere. And in fact, a day before they set fire on Otodogbame, I was there to speak to the Baale because they were in consultation with the government at the time. And while this was going on, they set fire on the community, and people literally left that community with the clothes on their back. And because a lot of the people living in Otodogbame at the time are immigrants from West Africa who have lived in Nigeria for decades, more than 6 decades. When this happened, a lot of them relocated to Makoko because, of course, you are going to leave. When you lose your home, you lose your work, you lose your livelihood, you are going to go to another community where you can at least find work and shelter and family or relatives or culture that sort of embraces you. So a lot of them left to Makoko. And you can imagine in December, they reached out to me and said, we came to Makoko for shelter and refuge. We are being displaced, and our homes and businesses are being demolished again. And I went to Makoko 2 weeks ago, and I've been there almost like every week. And what I see is so devastating. The day I went, there were schools that were demolished. There were children living in canoes. They couldn't go to school. School was in water, and they were just, a lot of their parents were concerned. Yes, we've lost our homes. Yes, we've lost our business. Yes, we've lost our canoes. Canoes were demolished. Canoes were burnt. But schools where our children could at least aspire for some education, bring themselves out of poverty, have now been destroyed. Who is going to put those schools together? How are these children going to have a bit of future? And that is what I saw. Again, Nigeria has one of the highest number of out-of-school children. The demolition in Makoko is also going to contribute to that number because these children are not in school. They are going to be hanging around the city. They are going to be subject to abuse. No one is going to be catering for them because their parents are disoriented. And this is another problem that the Lagos city as itself is going to have to fix. And what I am saying is, in demolitions, in forced evictions, there are global standards to how demolitions and evictions are carried out. Do we follow that so that the fallout does not come on children, and we have to come back to solve the problem that we're trying to avoid in the first place?
And so you've sort of segued right into the next destination of my line of questioning, because resettlement is commonplace the world over. It's the management of it that matters. And so how should we begin to manage the phasing out of slum dwelling for whatever environmental concerns, or maybe there are ultimately commercial real estate objectives involved with, the management of people's lives in a more humane manner?
I think, and with all due respect to the Lagos State government, they more than anybody else understand how to carry out demolitions. Auntie Yemi Ademola has alluded to that. A lot of agencies have been working with the government at different times on how the best practices on evicting or resettling. And I'm careful to say resettling because is that even the plan of the government? Is the plan of the government to actually resettle people in these displaced and slum communities? I don't think so. Because we know that in the global standard for demolition is good notice. The notice is to allow consultation. The consultation process includes resettlement, meaning you resettle them in a land that they can call their own, that they will not be disturbed by Omonile. They will not be disturbed by people in the survey or lands unit saying, oh, even though you've lived in a country for 80 years, you are still, a lot of people in Makoko told me that they've made attempts to even buy land in Lagos and build together. And they've been told they cannot buy land because they are telling them they are not Nigerians. People before our own parents, they've been living in these communities, they are still being told that they are not Nigerians. So there are many bottlenecks. And when you want to do that, where the government with a humane face will come in is to resettle them, give them a land that has their documentation and identity, then compensation. Three things: adequate notice, resettlement, compensation. One does not come before the other. You don't compensate without resettling. Like Mr. Jude said, if you give me 5 million naira for my land, the cost of rent in Lagos is going to suck that up within 2 years. And what happens again? They are displaced. So a lot of the people affected in the Makoko demolitions are people from neighboring slum communities, and not just slum communities, neighboring communities that they've come to Makoko because they've been chased like animals from place to place over 10 years. It's devastating.
All right.
And again, they have to pick up again.
Well, in all fairness to the Lagos State government, the movement of people from other parts of Nigeria to these states, I can imagine there should be a lot of pressure. As it stands, according to well unconfirmed data, I think we're looking at between 20 to 25 million people and counting on a daily basis. If you start by the Lagos Express, where you see trucks, you see vehicular movements of Nigerians, coming into Lagos on a daily basis. So I can imagine perhaps there should be a lot of pressure on the state government. But having said that, staying with the issue around resettlement and compensation, because one of the guests, Jude Ojo, mentioned issues around compensation, the fact that a few persons are called around and say, come. And I'm going to be very direct here, because Omoniles and Bales have been accused over the years of compromise. In your coverage, is that what you have seen? The fact that it looks like the state government is making plans, genuinely or sincerely, to compensate the people, and they cannot do that directly with the people. They have to go through the leadership of that community or area. But there are allegations of compromise.
I don't want to speak to speculation at all. I'm a journalist, so until I have
the facts,
the evidence of whether either of the parties are saying, that's when we can see it and say we are going to comment. I will comment on that. But what is simple is there is no way the government can say they cannot interact directly with the community and have a protocol of compensation, a protocol of resettlement. That is unacceptable. That is not governance. You should have a way. I have attended several town halls in this Lagos. I've attended town halls in Surulere when we had power challenges, and a lawmaker at the time, the person representing Surulere, came to those meetings. There were dozens of people in those town hall meetings. The government cannot say that the only way to interact with the people that they govern and lead at the state, at the local level, is only through the Bales. There are means of mediation. There are there's a way, there are representations. These are things that they've done, that's been done in the past. Auntie Yemi said, Surulere and some other settlements came to be as a result of resettlement. You are not going to say you don't have a way to gather the data of people living in Makoko. That in itself is a problem. If government or any agency says that they don't have a way to interact directly, hence that is why they are going through some actors that are exploiting the situation. Is unacceptable. Right. The government is the father and the overseer of this state, and they know the means to reach the people.
Well, we have to anchor our conversation at this time, but I imagine perhaps what the state of your mental health and that of many journalists like ourselves who cover such sad and tragic stories on a daily basis. I wonder what I think sometimes we need a therapist. We need to
definitely.
Absolutely, because covering some of these stories, you see humans in a very, very terrible conditions, very dire conditions, and sometimes I just wish that I had a different job, but let's leave it here. Bukola Adebayo is correspondent, Thomson Reuters Foundation. Thank you indeed for your time on the program. All right, this is the morning brief. We are not done with you just yet. When we come back, we take you to Osun State as we pay attention to the Osun State local government crisis. Tinubu call Oyetola to order. Those are the exact words of the Osun State's Governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke. We'll get analysis, perspectives, and insights in just a moment. Please stay with us.